Now let me share with you, and it should be this one, and it should go towards yes. Okay, do you have any question? Any questions? No questions? Besides a little boring something, any question? Nothing? Okay, let me start very fast. Okay, this chapter, it will go very fast because you already know these things. What you don't know is that you have to explain it. Eventually you will look for a job, and whatever you are talking, probably you will not be understood. It's very, very common that people who are going to interview you will not talk the same language. And you will say, well, how come? How come you don't know about blogs, about some digital approaches? Well, there are many people who don't know how to even use a computer. And they are kind of top guys in their companies. And this is because whatever they are doing now today, whatever they are working with, regardless what they are using, the most important aspects of the business haven't changed. They haven't changed. They have been the same like forever, like forever. From the Phoenicians, since the Phoenicians, always is about making some profit, always is about convincing somebody to do something. And so this chapter is not as important to you as for those guys who will interview you, and you will have to be able to come up with remember last class, the elevator speech I told you in 40 seconds explains the most important factors, the most important things. And after those 40 seconds, everybody will lose the interest in whatever you're saying. Same thing. They will interview you. They will ask you, how do you produce value? And you might come up with some fancy term. Well, I have my M1 Apple computer, which is now better than the i7, i9, Intel. You will lose them. So, and that happens with marketing. And that started happening in the last 20 years. So many people, they are in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they will never understand what the hell you are talking about. They have heard something, they have no clue, okay? And because you are the new guy who came, probably you will be lucky, and a director will call you and they will ask you, hey, can you tell me about what you are saying? So you start explaining, but you will realize they are not good at working with computers. So big professional secret: if you stumble with somebody who's struggling a lot with a computer, open Solitaire, this cards game in Windows. The main problem you will discover the elderly have is that they cannot control the mouse. So give them a mouse, and with the mouse, put them to play solitaire. And you will realize, they will realize that as soon as they start managing better the mouse, is less embarrassing for them to use a computer. There are 40 years old with no knowledge about how to work with a computer. Okay? So that's like a very important thing. And probably they will interview you for a job. So remember, think about your audience, okay? All the time. Now, chapter 17. It's straightforward. You already know all this stuff. And it's about just online marketing, digital marketing. It's straightforward, easy peasy. Now, you have to combine two things, okay? The old world and the new world. In the old world, is face-to-face, is the direct marketing. And there are many techniques to do that. In the new world, you have now computers and internet, and you have a lot of online stuff that for you is normal. It's kind of normal. You are in college, and you could come up to college, and somehow you know about computers. Do you know about computers? No, you have no clue actually. 98% of whatever is happening on the internet is, as I told you before, is on the dark web. And 1 out of 300 of you have an idea how to surf the dark web. So actually, you are not that experts, but you are experts enough to navigate the professional world very successfully. And probably you are not interested, and you don't have to be interested on that. But now you have to combine two worlds, the direct and the digital marketing. And now, just always we think about the direct marketing, the real world going into online. But now we have to think about it in the two ways. It's a two-way road. So the online marketing has to become the actual touchable marketing. And that's a very nice example in the book about Travelocity. You can see this icon, this gnome that appears in the hotels, in some touristic attractions. Is the way the online world will now go into the direct marketing world. Just think about it all the time, okay? All the time. How can you materialize something that you have online now towards the actual world? Okay, this one. Now, you have the digital and the traditional marketing. In the digital, this is kind of just when you study this chapter, just remember this one. And a good advice, nice advice, if you would be interested, is just memorize this thing, okay? If you can, I'm not going to ask that for that in the exam, but for your own convenience, memorize this thing, because this is going to help you a lot with your 40-second speech, elevator speech. So in the digital and social media marketing, we have websites, email, online videos, blogs, social media marketing, mobile marketing, okay? You have that world. That it will take you like 8 seconds to explain very fast to whoever you are talking to in the interview. And on the other world, you have the face-to-face direct marketing, catalog, telemarketing, direct response TV marketing. That one is when you are at 2 o'clock in the morning, you have had enough beers, you just click on the TV, you are with your friends talking, and they start selling those silly kitchen appliances, and they expecting from you to answer, to pick the phone call, the phone, make the purchase. That's the direct response TV marketing. And you have the kiosk marketing. When you go to the malls, you have this nice kiosk selling everything or promoting something. That's the other way. So all of these are very obvious, are very clear, and you have tons of experience with these things. There are some things that you have to know. The direct and the digital marketing worlds are kind of growing fast, really fast. And that's very inconvenient for all the producers, okay? Because now they have to figure out how to differentiate themselves. And it's very fast how your competitor can catch up and can come up with an alternative marketing offering for your own customer. There are some advantages that, remember, try to memorize them or be very familiar with them, not for exam, but by the time you go into the job market. Which one is the convenience of each one? How ready is the access, the information, how it flows, the interactive and immediate information, how can you take advantage of that? Now, about the sellers, you have in the direct marketing as well as in the digital marketing, some platforms that are cheap, are very efficient, and are very fast to build. So obviously, if you come up with some experience about GoDaddy, about how to build websites, essentially Wix, how to build websites, and you can show that. You don't have to know how to program. That's a very important thing. Probably previous knowledge about HTML and some Java could help, but it's not required actually. You can come up with a website very fast. The most important factor here is what are you going to communicate? The message you are going to deliver has to be very well taught, very well built. And of course, the electronic media will give you the opportunity to communicate with everybody, even in remote locations. Now, there are some different, you already know this, but you don't have categorized them. So just remember an order in your mind. This is very important to whoever you speak. Just remember this order and try to say the order fast and try to have a nice handling of the constructs so you can impress somebody by how updated you are in the digital tools, in the marketing digital tools. So you have online marketing. You already know what is this, the websites, the branded community websites, the online advertising, you already know this, the email marketing. Watch out with that because they can accuse you of spam, and now the fines are quite hefty in some states. And watch out with something called the Amazon law. You have to charge the value added tax, even if the purchase, the transaction was outside of your state. Okay, just a little of information about that. New York, the vendors in New York, the online vendors in New York. I believe I mentioned something of this before. Those guys used to give you a better price. You didn't know how. But if you bought something from New York to be sent to Colorado, so it would be cheaper because they wouldn't charge you the value added tax. Now, the Congress started with this law where they argued that the vendors in New York were competing on an unfair basis because the price was artificial. The selling price was the same, but they they leverage their corporate strategy by saving the customers the value-added tax. So it was the same price, but you didn't pay tax. So they came up with this Amazon law, and it was inspiring Amazon. So they are supposed to charge you the tax. What is the big problem of this? What was the problem? The problem is that you, as a taxpayer, had to pay tax on whatever was sold to you without tax. And people didn't know this. So for quite a few years, many people who purchased from Amazon without being charged the tax because it was sold from New York, they had to pay the value-added tax at state level. And they had a lot of trouble with that. So now you know that. You are supposed to pay the tax. You already know the online videos. There is a viral marketing thing, which is, well, there are many, but there is one so funny marketing thing that somebody told me. It was super tips, super marriage tips, something like that. It's hilarious. It's somebody who deserves to be told a couple of nasty things. But it's hilarious. If you go to YouTube, look for this guy. It's hilarious. It obviously is. I don't abide by whatever he say. Now, about the blogs, you already know this. There is a very important, an additional thing that you have to consider. Your generation is getting used to read less. So now the messages you are sending from the millennials, from the millennials up to your generation, you guys are reading less. You are less patient. So when you go to a blog, be very, very concrete. Don't stumble around on the ideas. Just be very direct in whatever you are saying. Try to say most of your stuff in probably one paragraph only. Try to reduce your writing. Otherwise, your message is not going to go. It's not going to be. Is not going to travel through. So just for you to think about it. There are many blogs that there are many blah, 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 blah. No, don't do that. Don't do it. They are very specific, your messages. Always. Your paragraphs, very well, very closed. Now, no, this one, you already know that. The social media marketing advantages, targeted and personal, interactive, immediate, and timely, cost-effective engagement and social sharing capabilities. They brought again the guys from Facebook, Twitter, and Google to talk about what's going on with the election. So it's a good timing for you. Not only, as I told you before, try to memorize some of these steps for your job interview, but also to be a little bit more updated. Go to the Senate hearings that just happened and try to figure out what was said there. It's not only it's interesting, but it will serve you well because you will show that you are updated on your the digital marketing skills. And of course, there are some challenges. Who controls what in the social media? Once you start a rumor, the rumor will find its way. And nonetheless, you don't want that. It will happen in that way. It happens. not every brand will be, people are not eager to hear about any brand. The brands have to be very well established. So sometimes you can, your use of social media to promote your brands can be construed as premature, and that will rest points in your market share with no doubt. So be smart when you are trying to do noise in the marketplace. Um, Give me one moment. Now, direct mail marketing is not working that well. It's working, but it's not working that well. Unless you are sending some coupons who are actual discounts, so that could work. But if you are just sending email to create awareness, mail to create awareness, it's expensive. The coverage is not that fantastic because people don't read. They don't read, and they don't read advertising. So it's much more difficult. And of course, you have to pay for that, and it's very expensive. But sometimes, if you customize the message, which is not that difficult, just read at your demographics, customize, customize the message based on the demographics of the place. And so you may have better results than the traditional media. Now, catalogs used to be the key success factor for Sears for about 120 years. The very famous Sears catalog. Once they stopped producing the catalog, Sears went down miserably. So it's not always recommendable, especially if you have a tradition, to discontinue the catalog because people are waiting, looking for that catalog. Now, there are some, when it's web based, is good. Is you can do as many marketing offering as you want to, as long as they are well communicated. Now, the content can be interactive. There are some marketing research companies that they will create a virtual store. So when you are answering the survey, you walk through the store, you can look at the shelves, you can pick an article, you can review the article and either put it on the cart or put it back on the shelf. And that's fantastic because now you can run ethnography on real time in a virtual environment. That's kind of fantastic. Yet there are some quirks you have to deal with, but they are very convenient. If you are creating a catalog, you can hire a market research company to work with those, you know, um, online stores, and you can create a very successful catalog, either to be printed or put it on a website. Now, telemarketing, that sucks, but it's a fantastic business if you want to start with your own telemarketing business. And you don't have to pay anything. You have to have like probably 20 virtual lines, not even, you know, actual telephone lines. You can you can go for Skype, for example, start making phone calls. You hire people to start selling something, and you only need a room. You only need a basic computer that can run Skype, and of course a good internet service. Pay commissions don't pay, watch out this, pay only commissions, don't pay fixed salaries, which contradicts what I told you before. There are some business that gives you a lot of profit by just the turnover of personnel. So whoever you hire is not meant to be there forever. You want the person to be working with you 6 months and leave. Okay? That's a very good business. And telemarketing is one of those type of business. Now, what do you sell there? A very good, very good product is sell debt, loans. Loans that are easy to get, difficult to get out of them. Okay? There are many, they are called non-banks banks. A non-bank bank is a bank specialized in only a very specific clientele. Typical case in these places or in these parts of the country are those banks specialized only in agricultural businesses. That's is not a bank. It's a bank specialized in a very specific market segment. And they are raving to find a way to better sell their loans. And their loans always are very expensive because they cannot leverage from other banking products to make to pull the price down, the interest rate down. So what a business you can do is open your telemarketing, approach one of these banks and tell the director, you know what, I can sell your credits. I will charge you a commission. Probably you are charging 20%. It's crazy. The interest rates of those business are infamous, are crazy. They are like 20, 30, 40%. So you can tell them, oh, that 40% or 30% they are going to give you. Whoever I bring to you, you will give me 5% for the first 2 months. And you start creating a cash flow for your own business. And you need nothing to start with that business. That's a very nice way when you are in college, you want to start your own business. Okay, how about that? Okay, this is the one I told you, and that's interesting because they will tell you for the for the next 100 calls or for the next 5 minutes, this blender machine, would you clearly know? You can tell that thing doesn't work. But they will tell you, okay, for the next 5 minutes, instead of paying for this blender, you will pay, instead of paying $150, you will pay $79.99. You might think, well, that one is in Walmart for 15 bucks. But well, $17.99. Why $17.99? Why not 80? Well, because there is a study about the psychology of prices. When you put a 99, you will think about 70s, not 80s. And you always will prefer the numbers which are round. So 9 has a little round, a little circle. So you prefer those types of numbers. You don't like 3, you don't like 7, you don't like 1, you like 9, sometimes 8, 0, but 0 will push you towards the next the next number, the next 10 numbers. So you want $79.99 because you want the people to say, I paid around 70. Okay, now we are about to finish. Kiosk. There is a classical, most typical business in college. People in marketing, many people they dream to have a kiosk in either inside of a store or in the mall. Well, that not necessarily is the most profitable way to spend your time. But you can do this. You can come up with for example, Ridley's, and tell Ridley's, you know what, I'm selling. I can come up with a coffee a coffee store, and whatever I get from the coffee, you will get 50. Just don't charge me either electricity or don't rent me the place. Just give me uh, two square meters, 2 by 2. I will put a nice espresso machine. I will sell the coffee with your name, Ridley's name, and whatever I get 50, and the equipment is mine, and it will cost you $700 probably. So it's a good way to start as well. I rather prefer everything online. That's my personal preference always. But well, that's another way to do it. And now finally, what you get from a direct marketing with a wrong approach. Well, number one, your customers will get irritated. You can, you might make your customers believe that you were unfair. There will be deception. Some of them will think you are a fraudster, and there's a whole specialty in accounting about fraud, which is very interesting. It's very interesting. So how you portray somebody who you are not, and at the end, the deception of the customer brought you to court, and you may lose even your freedom. So it's quite sensitive. This is to tell you whatever message you are conveying to your customer has to be truthful. If you are starting with bait and switch schemes, you may have a lot of trouble. And there are a couple of regulations. You have to read them in the book: the General Data Protection Regulation and the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, where you have just be decent. And if you have any trouble when you are a customer, it's very easy to complain about somebody. It's very easy, and they will be called, and they might be fined, especially when you are on this. If you are in this Black Friday, and you find something with a very good price, immediately before buying it, take a picture of the screen, either with your phone or take a shot of the screen, a screenshot, and put it in your files. Now try to buy it. If it doesn't work, or something happens 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, you can show to the authorities. The complaint is online. It's very straightforward to put it, and you include that the screenshot, and so most probably somebody will contact you and start talking about how it went, and either you will recover at least you will recover your money, and most probably the company will get fined. Final thing in this chapter. It's a little bit complex. It's not covered in the book, but you have to know this. It's going to cost you. advertising, any form of advertising is going to cost you. And if it's going to be expensive either in monetary terms or in time terms. Whatever you spend on it, try to have an estimation. How much money would you have spent on whatever you did or you have already spent? And not always, if you are in a company and you are already working for somebody, especially those guys in communications, okay, especially those guys who are going to get a communications major. Ask the accountant always to make a provision so the manager, your boss, is aware how much money is going to cost. If you don't tell beforehand your boss how much your bright mind is costing, they will fire you. Okay? Don't allow the money side part of your job to surprise somebody. Even if it's very expensive, it's okay. If you are very expensive, just keep informing your boss how much it costs. And the best way to do it is you go to the accountant and tell the accountant, okay, you have the quotation of our media. You already have our budget, okay? No doubt about it. And if you don't have it, it's not my business. But what is my business is how much money is costing the company to have me here. So please, Mr. Accountant, create a provision, a monthly provision, so it can come up in the financial reports how much money, not necessarily we are spending, but how much is the estimation we already spent up to this month. Even if you haven't disbursed the money, if you haven't issued the check, I don't care about that. Make a provision, show it to the management so they know how much money about we have been spending. So at the end of the quarter, at the end of the semester, or at the end of the year, my boss will not tell me, hey, you are very expensive. Yes, buddy, yes. Oh, I'm expensive. Oh, I'm not a cheap person. Yes, and I told you, month after month, okay? And if the accountant doesn't want to create that provision, do it by yourself and give it in a very straightforward email with one line. My provision, my estimation, how much money I have been spending on this is this. If you create that routine, you will build trust on whatever you are doing. Even if your estimation is crazy, it's out of the mind, at least you are trying. And that creates a lot of trust. And that will pay you well once you are working, whatever you are working. Okay, this ends the chapter. Finally, it's shorter my class. Finally. Any doubts, guys? No doubts? Any comments? Now, we're going to finish this. Just remember, this weekend you will have, I think, exercises for chapter 17 and 18, plus whatever corrections you are doing to your past assignments. And we will have, I will give you the week of the whole week of Thanksgiving. Forget about me, okay? Forget about the class. Coming back, We cover chapter 19, 20, and from there, I will provide 1 or 2 additional topics not covered in the exam, but which are really important today. And you have all that time, at least 10 days to prepare for the exam. And the exam will be in the same way, okay? No surprises. Don't sweat on this class. Just really try to be curious to see what is inside of that. Try to learn. If you have any doubt, I know the materials, and I have many perspectives of the business. So theoretically, there is no phase of a business I cannot talk about. So if you have any doubt, even about your own business, your dad's business, whatever you are working now, let me know. We can have a one-to-one conversation if you want to. And just, I want you to leave the class with no doubts and without the impression that this thing is ugly. Has been boring, yes, a little bit. I talk too much. It was a lot of material. You have to know this. But out of that, now try to go back on the materials. Try to figure out if you have any doubt, if you would like to experiment with something, and let's talk about it. Okay? So next class, chapter 18, this weekend, exercises for chapter 17, 18 is not going to take too long. Whatever corrections you made, remember, there is a survey I found. So I'm giving for you, I'm giving for that survey 10 points. Up to Sunday, 29 people answered the survey. So if you haven't done that and you want the points, just let me know. And remember, even if you have 100 in your final exam or in the exam, if you had additional points, they will capitalize towards the next exam. They will not be forgotten, okay? Any doubt? No doubts? Okay, guys. So see you on Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.